There's no way these numbers are right. We're gonna take a look at a few predictions for the 2023 season and discuss why these numbers just seem to be way off, but more importantly, we're gonna find a way to take advantage of it. Headliner Nation, today's video is going to be an absolute banger, and we're going to be taking a look at several numbers that I feel are way off. And regardless of what you do for fantasy football, we're going to find a way to take advantage of these numbers this season. And not only that, but I'm getting ready to announce probably our biggest giveaway ever. So let's talk about that first. As you know, we have partnered with Underdog for the 2023 season. And what I would love to do in this video is give one of you a shot at winning $100,000. And for you to be eligible, all you have to do is go over to Underdog, create an account, and deposit at least $10 using code word headliners. When you do that, Underdog is going to match your deposit up to $100. We're going to give you one of our 2023 fantasy football draft guides for free, and it's going to put you in the running to be a part of this giveaway. Over on Underdog, they have opened up the Bulldog 2 tournament, and the entry fee for this tournament is $500. And whoever wins the tournament will walk away with $100,000, and I'm gonna give you the opportunity to play in this tournament alongside myself. This is how it's gonna work. You have to have an account through Underdog using our code word to sign up and deposit. Regardless of when you've signed up and deposited, I'm gonna pick one person to join me in pursuit of winning this tournament. I'm gonna cover the entry fee, and then you and I are gonna work together to formulate a draft strategy. We're gonna draft the team, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna split the winnings 50-50. And again, the only thing it would cost you is the $10 deposit when you open up your account. I'm covering the $500 entry fee, and you're walking away with half of whatever we win. I'm going to announce the winner in my video on Monday, the 21st of August. So hurry up, get signed up, deposit, get our draft guide, and let's start working on a strategy so we can bring home the big bucks this year in this tournament. All right, let's jump into the analysis, because I've seen several NFL predictions for this season that I just don't believe to be accurate, and we're gonna figure out what we can do to take advantage of those. All right, let's start with Derek Carr. And over on Underdog in their pick'ems, his higher and lower for passing yards on the season is set at 3,750.5 yards. And I am hammering the higher on this number. Carr has went over those passing yards in 4 of his last 5 seasons. And quite honestly, I don't think he's always had the weapons that match what he has in New Orleans now. And if you take a look at the numbers from last season, he actually would have went over those passing yards last year as well, but he was benched at the end of the season. It's the only reason why he doesn't have 5 straight seasons over this passing mark. You've got playmakers all over the field in New Orleans. It's hard to sit here and not anticipate Derek Carr going over 4,000 yards at least this season. And we also have found out recently that Alvin Kamara is only going to be suspended for 3 games. So that's another playmaker right there for you. I am 100% taking the over on those numbers. Anthony Richardson was just recently named the Week 1 starter for the Indianapolis Colts. And I don't envision a scenario, barring an injury, where this guy doesn't start all 17 games this season. And right now, his pick'em for rushing touchdowns is only set at 5 rushing touchdowns for the season. Let's hammer the higher on that one as well. Take a look at the other dual threat quarterbacks in the league and the amount of rushing touchdowns they've had in their first full season. Lamar Jackson had 7. Cam Newton had 14. Jalen Hurts had 10. Josh Allen had 9, and Justin Fields had 8. All of those guys utilized running the football as a big part of their game plan. And in their first full season, they definitely had no issues going over 5 rushing touchdowns. The only other one I didn't mention in this is Kyler Murray. In his first full season, he only had 4 rushing touchdowns. But give me Anthony Richardson at the goal line every single time. I think we go over 5. Pretty easy. Let's switch gears and talk about a couple of running backs, and we're going to start with Rachaad White. Right now over on Underdog, Rachaad White's rushing yards, the higher and lower is set at 780.5 yards. And quite honestly, at the beginning of the offseason, I liked Rachaad White. I thought he had an opportunity to be a breakout candidate this season, but I have significantly cooled off to the point that I don't want anything to do with him. And because of that, I'm taking the under for his current rushing yards. Now, here's the reason for that. For him to reach that plateau, if he doesn't improve on the 3.7 yards per carry last year, he would need over 210 carries to hit it. And given the issues on offense this year, I don't know if his efficiency gets any better. His 3.7 yards per carry last year was 48th among running backs. And he's not very good at making people miss or running through tackles either. He averaged 2.33 yards after contact per attempt. That ranked 51st. And he only averaged 0.11 avoided tackles per attempt. That ranked 45th. Altogether, last season, he only had 14 missed tackles, 51st in the league. There were 15 running backs that had less rushing attempts than Rachaad White last season and more missed tackles. Not only that, but he didn't show a bunch of big play potential either. He had 8 runs of 10 or more yards, 52nd among running backs. There were 14 running backs that had less attempts than Rachaad White last season and more runs of 10 or more yards. He only had 4 runs of 15 or more yards. That was 45th in the league. There were 11 players with less attempts and more runs of 15 or more yards. And not only that, but the offensive line for Tampa Bay is not very solidified this year. Tristan Wirfs, who is a good player, is going to be playing left tackle for the first time at the NFL level after switching from right tackle last season. They have a rookie that's going to be at right guard, and then Ryan Jensen, who's been one of the better centers in football, missed all of last year and is now trying to work his way back. Oh, also on top of that, you're going to be downgrading from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask this season. Last season, Tom Brady had the quickest time to throw of any quarterback at the NFL level. I do not expect Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask to be getting rid of the ball as quickly. And maybe that doesn't affect Rachaad White that much in the run game, but it's very important to note that that's going to mean the offensive line is going to be getting knocked over quite a bit, and they're going to be getting beat up quite a bit. When that happens, it becomes increasingly harder to run protect throughout a game. There's just no way that I expect Rachaad White to go over those numbers and become a much better running back than what we saw last season. Let's stay at the running back position and talk about Austin Ekeler going higher than his 775.5 rushing yards. This seems like a crazy low number, given the fact that the Los Angeles Chargers have added Quentin Johnston on the outside and have a new game plan that honestly is probably going to help try to open up this offense a little bit more. I mean, Austin Ekeler has run for over 900 yards each of the last 2 seasons, and last year he was still able to do it even with injuries to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. And he doesn't need a ton of attempts to do it either. Right now, he averages 4.5 yards per carry for his career. If you were to give him 12.2 attempts per game, which is all that he's had the last 2 seasons, that means that he would only need 207 rushing attempts to reach 933 rushing yards. If he averages 12.2 carries per game, he could realistically miss out on 3 games this season and still be able to hit the benchmark to go the over on the rushing yards. I'm absolutely taking the over here. Let's also go higher, but at the wide receiver position, because I'm going to go higher than Christian Kirk's 70.5 total receptions on the season. He's had higher than that in each of the last 2 years. And for those of you that are worried saying, but Christian Kirk could end up losing some targets to Calvin Ridley, I've already proved in other videos that isn't likely to happen. But if that is a concern for you, Christian Kirk had 77 receptions on only 103 targets back in 2021. Also back in 2019, he also just missed out on the 70 reception mark, coming in with 68 receptions on only 108 targets. So even if you're a little bit worried about Calvin Ridley, I wouldn't be worried if you're looking at the receptions for Christian Kirk, because he's already shown the ability to be highly efficient, even if he loses some of those targets. And one of the reasons that he could be highly efficient is because he's not going to have as many people keeping an eye on him. Calvin Ridley on the outside is going to draw more attention. You still have Evan Ingram. You still have Zay Jones. So even if Christian Kirk loses some targets, he could still have less contested targets over the middle of the field, allowing for better catch opportunities. We're going higher, baby. All right, I got one more for you. We're staying at the wide receiver position, and I'm going under Marquise Brown's 900.5 receiving yards. A lot of people are all over Marquise Brown this year, saying that he's going to be the dude in Arizona, but I have some major concerns about that. If you take a look at the other pick'em set, he's listed at 70.5 total receptions on the season right now. So if he were to hit his mark in both receiving yards and receptions, he would have to average 12.8 yards per reception this season. Only problem with that is he's only done that once in his career so far. And last season with Kyler Murray, and then when Murray got hurt, kind of a similar situation at the quarterback position, he only averaged 10.6 receiving yards. So if he were to stay in that area, he would need almost 85 receptions this season to hit 900 receiving yards. And unfortunately, he's only done that once in his career also. The Cardinals have announced that Zach Ertz should be back for week 1, and you also have Trey McBride at the tight end position that showed a lot of promise last season. You can't forget about Rondale Moore also at the wide receiver position, and you've also got James Conner in the backfield. We don't even know who the starting quarterback is going to be for Arizona at this time. But do we realistically think that the numbers that we saw last year from Marquise Brown are going to be substantially better this season? Given the uncertainty at the position, and given the uncertainty that we just don't know what this offense is going to look like, Marquise Brown could still have some really big plays and be a guy that could help you in your best ball lineup, or maybe holding on to as like a wide receiver 4 in a redraft league. But when we're talking about these over and unders and the pick'ems, I'm just not certain that he's going to go over 900 receiving yards. There's going to be some things that have to go right for him. Headliner Nation, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to switch it up and do something, but I wanted to talk about meaningful statistics and give you some information that regardless of what you do, even if you don't do these pick'ems, that you can use come draft season. And don't forget to get signed up through Underdog and make your $10 deposit. I'm going to be picking a winner on the 21st to join me in a $500 entry tournament over on Underdog. We're going to draft this team together. Headliner Nation, before you all get out of here, hit that like button for me, and in the comments down below, let me know if you've signed up for an Underdog account yet. But more importantly, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Stick around for the rest of our off-season content and all of the in-season content that's going to be coming at you really quickly. Peace out, Headliner Nation. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.